Welcome to Horrorscape. I'm Luke, and I'm joined by Ricky.
Thank you all for tuning in. Today, we will be looking at another movie this week for our second episode. This week, we're going to be taking a look at the movie Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday.
The Final Friday, and it also the final movie to have a... Actually, sorry, the one before this was the final one to have an actual number in the title. Technically, this is Friday Part 5. Sorry, Part 9.
Part 9, yeah.
Well, actually, I guess technically the next one gets a number, and it's Jason X.
Well, that'll be 10
That's
as
10,
well.
yeah. So I take that back. Jason X is the last one to have a number in it.
But this one also doesn't have the Friday the 13th title either.
New Line didn't get the right to use that title when they bought it from what was this?
Paramount.
Paramount.
Yeah. They just bought the character rights. They didn't buy any of the naming rights for it. So
moved in Jason to the house that Freddy built. So now this would after this lead to Jason X and then eventually Freddy versus Jason.
Mm-hmm.
But into this movie really sparked that fan fiction for a long time.
Yeah, well, from what I read, the idea was to do Freddy versus Jason directly after this, but there were some delays or something that got in the way, so that's why they went ahead and made a Jason X in the meantime.
That thing possibly being Wes Craven.
Yeah, probably so. So we'll jump right in. And I'll read the synopsis here just in case there's people out there that haven't.
What is this movie about?
I've watched it several times. I'm still not 100% sure what it's about. But the synopsis here says that after being blown away by a team of FBI agents, Jason Voorhees needs to find a way to overcome certain death. When his bloodied remains are sent to the morgue, his heart, still intact, is able to hypnotize a coroner and take over his body. After brutally dispatching a couple of FBI agents, he heads back to his favorite stomping grounds, Crystal Lake. Jason commences another teen massacre while a bounty hunter discovers the only way to kill him. Creighton Duke.
Right. He just already knew it for some reason. There's no discovery.
Yeah.
Well, maybe for all the other characters, there's a bit of discovery.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this movie is really funny. So it starts off and it's got basically, I don't know, PlayStation 1 graphics for like and then this, but with like Final Fight soundtrack. I don't know. It's very on the cheap sounding soundtrack. It's catchy, but not memorable, I guess.
And we're talking about where Jason is set up by the FBI agents or the task force or whoever this may be to destroy him or kill him.
Yeah, you got this bait and switch scenario in the beginning. This lone 90s babe comes driving up to Camp Crystal Lake to do a little camping in this cabin. Unbeknownst to Jason, he's the prey in this scenario. She does all the universal, like, calling out Jason, activities. Like, she gets spooked a little bit, has to change the light bulb, ends up taking a shower. There is nudity, which, as anyone knows, that's how you get Jason to come out of the woodworks. And
right, yeah, even in Jason X, he wakes up when the couple is having sex. And
that's his that's one of his superpowers, I guess. But that's how you get his attention. He's a pervert. But
right.
She is able to evade him long enough to lure him out into this open field, and there's a sting operation on Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, that kind of
like the
comes out of
National
nowhere.
Guard comes out. I'm surprised they didn't roll like a tank out to finish it off, but
they did have like people rappelling from the trees and all this kind of
and I just
stuff.
wish there was like a movie showing this whole setup. But anyways, it's probably better not to see all those details. But Yeah, he's wandering around, doesn't know there's guys like hiding in the trees wanting to get him.
Supposedly not supposedly, there is a comic that came out that's supposed to take place between
Oh,
Jason Takes Manhattan and Jason Goes to Hell, that kind of is supposed to bridge the gap between this. And also, before we get into this crazy plot, we need to point out that this movie had like massive edits to it. I
oh
think the
yeah.
original runtime was supposed to be somewhere like 120 minutes, so right at 2 hours, and they
Oh
cut it
wow.
down. Yeah, so they cut it down to 90 minutes. So yeah, that may explain why this plot seems a little splotchy.
Yeah, it's like it's got its own inside joke on stuff, and it just doesn't care to explain it, especially in the character of Creighton Duke.
The most useless character in the entire movie, in my opinion.
I have to say, yeah, I agree. I kind of liked him, but then after watching it several more times, I was like, this movie could happen without him, except for one little element that is a plot device completely. And it's also, I guess, just they could have, I don't know, can they have narration in a Friday the 13th? I mean, I know that's a screenwriting no-no, but people do it all the time. It speeds things up and lets the viewer in on what's going on without having to stop everything to have a character explain stuff. But I don't know. Anyways, they blow up Jason.
Helped pretty much.
Anything would have helped. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Jason gets blown up by something. It kind of looks like fireworks.
Oh, and he's screaming too.
Yeah, when he's getting shot, he's making these strange noises, which took me back to the Rob Zombie Halloween 2, where
die.
where Michael, he grunts every time he moves, leans over, which is annoying. But luckily, well, Jason's not in this movie hardly at all, so that's about the only time that happens.
He's in this so little that Kane Hodder had to appear as himself just to, I guess, get a paycheck for the day, because he's like, I'm in the beginning, I'm at the end, and a couple of mirror shots. Can I just be a security guard too? And he's also Freddy Krueger's arm at the end.
End. Yeah. But
yeah, so it's interesting you bring up Halloween 2 as well, because that's like one of the first times you ever hear Michael Myers speak, where he goes, die, die. But in this one, you actually get to hear Jason speak as well, indirectly. But that's near the end of the movie.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of near the end. We won't go there yet. So Jason's blown up. The next thing is he's taken to the coroner at the hospital, and we have two doctors doing his autopsy. And
one for a while.
Yeah. But so then we get to see the doctor takes Jason's heart, and it starts beating, and apparently puts the doctor in a trance.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I guess it's kind of clear, but just the way he's looking at it, it's almost like he's trying to talk himself up to finally like eat it, which I thought was funny. Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, you can do this. Eat this heart." Yeah, I was reading that it was made out of like fruity stuff and diet, but the actor, and you can also see it in the scene where he's chewing down on it. He actually almost vomited like while eating it, because it just looks so unappealing.
Looks bad.
Yeah. But then they just like edited in this roaring sound, so I guess it kind of worked with the scene. But it totally looks like he's about to spew, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it looked well. Looking at it, it does not look appealing.
Yeah, it's a same heart that was used in From Dusk Till Dawn as well.
Yeah, yep, it's the exact same heart they used later on in that. And then we see the doctor who is now possessed by Jason, I guess.
Yeah.
You could say. He takes off and for some reason heads back to Crystal Lake.
Oh, yeah. He also kills himself, too. He kills Kane Hodder on the way out. But, yeah, he goes to Crystal Lake. I guess he walked, because you don't see this guy driving, I don't think, at all.
No.
In his people he inhabits. Before he gets to Crystal Lake, though, there's the show, Robert Campbell, his show, doing case files, but it's like immediately after these murders and everything happen, and the whole world knows that Jason exists and that the FBI just took him out too. So
Right, yeah. And
which
this
leads
is where
to
we're introduced to Creighton Duke, the
Creighton Duke.
useless Creighton Duke. And he says one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard during this interview.
Hot dog thing.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. The host says, so,
Robert Campbell.
yeah, what do you think of when I say these two words? Everybody knows what the hell he's going to say. And he says, Jason Voorhees, and Creighton goes, I picture a little girl in a pink dress putting a hot dog through a donut. Like, what? What is that even supposed to mean?
Dude, he has the wackest lines in this too. His
Yeah.
interactions with people.
Yeah. And then
Been off the radar, I guess. He's got that like secret compound. He just doesn't talk to people a lot.
and if you're thinking of like trying to fit this into the canon of Friday the 13th, you're already just like, what the hell is going on? Who is this guy? Why do I care? And why are you picturing a little girl in a pink dress putting a hot dog through a donut?
Some Freudian shit, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this host, Robert Campbell, he's talking to Creighton Duke, and Creighton Duke says $500,000, you get the whole damn thing. I'll do it. Goes
And
back
we
to Robert
still
Campbell.
don't know who he is.
Still don't know who he is. Just that he's a bounty hunter who's famously brought in a bunch of serial killers. Sorry, Jason Voorhees is a whole different league of serial killer. And also, I don't know how bounty hunters work, but I don't know. Must have a lot of serial killers. So Robert Campbell, he says, all right, just for national security and safety of people, I'm willing to pay this guy's tab and get him to kill Jason, as he says. I'll pay the $500,000. Doesn't really go anywhere either. But Creighton Duke goes to Crystal Lake and immediately goes to a Jason Voorhees themed restaurant.
Yeah, the diner where they're selling the 2-for-1 Jason patties or whatever, the hamburgers.
Hockey mask burgers or whatever, and a side of Jason fingers.
And a side of Jason fingers.
Sounds delicious.
Sounds great.
You made the Joey B and Shelby and their son. I think it's their son or something.
I think it's their son, and the two diner workers. I'm not even. Again, these are other characters that I don't understand. I don't know why the diner exists. I don't know why Creighton exists. I don't know why the diner exists.
It's so that
they have a place to hide the baby later on.
Yeah. And that to introduce us to Diana Kimball or Diana Voorhees. She is Jason's sister, a person who has literally never been mentioned in the series before this.
Yeah, another crazy.
There's a lot of
plot point that just it feels like it's just been pulled out of someone's ass.
Yeah, there's so much lore dropped in this movie that if you hadn't like watched this series before and just started watching this one, you'd be like, oh, okay, so that's how things are. And then you go back and watch the rest of them, and you're like, well, this is they just completely made all that up. I mean, all of this is made up anyways, but still, like, there's a lot of stuff this movie asked you just to take it.
Yeah, and I feel like we're going to be pointing out the many problems with this movie, but I also want to point out some like redeeming things as we get to.
There's some redemption for sure.
Yeah. And one thing I did like going back to the doctor scene where he's getting the autopsy is he kills the other doctor that comes in late and he smashes his head on that table.
Yeah, that's
like
pretty good one.
His face kind of like even goes through the grate. Like that was a pretty cool scene.
Nice. I had actually missed that little touch until like last night when I watched it. I was like, oh man, because he like stabs him with a probe and then grates his face. That's a good kill, I guess.
Yeah, it is. So now back to the diner. So we also introduced to the police chief.
I think it's Ed. Yeah.
Ed, yeah.
And he's dating Diana, who is, I don't know, he is like thrice her senior, but whatever, love is love.
And one thing I found really funny was when he gets into the confrontation with Creighton Duke at the table.
His ass kicked a little bit, metaphorically.
Well, yeah, but then Creighton Duke gets up in his face and he's like, "Chief, you do not have a clue who I am, or you don't know who I am, or something like that." And
And you're
I'm just
like,
thinking,
me
like,
neither.
nobody knows who the hell you are. No one, nobody knows.
But I love he
Again,
says that, and he's like, "You don't know who I am," and then Ed's like, "I know who you are. You're going to jail anyways." Like, I don't
well, if
care.
he knows
You're
who
an
he is,
asshole.
somebody tell us who he is
Yeah,
at some point.
give us a little,
Someone,
yeah, just an info dump real quick.
yeah, somebody give us something on why this weird cowboy guy is even there.
So his goal is to come there and talk to the Voorhees sister and be like, "Hey, legend has it. I don't know where this legend is, but legend has it that only a Voorhees can kill a Voorhees." He like quotes it like it's written in this ancient text somewhere. Like,
Yeah,
he
like
says,
a tablet
"Born
found
of
in
a
the bottom of
Voorhees."
Crystal Lake.
Yeah, born of a Voorhees, die of a Voorhees. Like, okay.
Yeah, like again, where did
Most
you get
people are
this
born of
information?
whatever their family name is. Doesn't mean like your dad's gonna have to show up and kill you someday.
And then sooner after this, we're actually introduced to Steven, which
He's
is
just sitting there.
yeah, just
Didn't
kind
even
of
try to help. He's just eating his burger. It's like your not mother-in-law is being sexually harassed by Creighton Duke, to be honest. And that's why he gets arrested, because it's the sheriff's girlfriend too. So she comes up to Steven and he's like, "Wow, that was crazy. Do you want to?" Okay, you get this whole backstory thrown at you because she said, apparently, you can tell by the dialogue that the Steven kid knocked up Diana Voorhees' daughter.
which
Probably
I
called
believe her name is Jessica, which is
yeah, it's
strange because
Jessica.
I kept trying to look for her name throughout the movie as I was watching, and it's rarely said. A lot of people's names are rarely mentioned in this movie.
Yeah, it took me a while to pick up on Steven's name too. I mean, Creighton Duke, I feel like they say that name is almost as much as Jason Voorhees. Yeah, like I kept having to look up Diana's name too. I was just like, Diana Voorhees, Diana Voorhees. I remember like maybe one time Steven going, "Jessica," but
Yeah,
that's about it.
that's where I pulled it from, without having to look it up. That's what I seen. Is there's like one time I was like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
because
his name.
she like drives away and he's like, "Jessica." So Diana tells him, "All right, you want to make things right with my daughter or whatever, or even just with me. Come visit me tonight. I've got to tell you some stuff." And he's like, "All
Hmm.
right, I'll be there."
Pretty much just cut to him. He was
And it's
heading out
nighttime all of
that
a sudden.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
nighttime, and he's heading out to meet her. And then just right outside of Crystal Lake, he
Sees
picks up
some
some
hitchhikers.
hitchhikers.
A couple and one really cute girl, couple of free
This
spirits.
this other girl, and he's like, well, "Are you headed to Crystal Lake to die?"
Yeah, he's like, "You're gonna smoke some weed, have some premarital sex, and maybe get
Maybe
slaughtered."
get slaughtered.
Yeah. You're like, "Hey man, that's really creepy for you to say to some people you just picked up."
Yeah, just randomly met. But then we get to see what I think after this is one of the segments that kind of have that Crystal Lake feel to it.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
little bit they throw you is this scene. I mean,
yeah,
I feel like they put it in there just so they can say like, "Okay, now it feels like a
like
Friday."
somebody got killed at Crystal Lake.
Why would okay? So this infamous killer for also I think this movie is supposed to take place in like 2003 because like the timeline's really weird.
Yeah.
Like even the 80s had been like further in the 90s, timeline wise. Okay, so this guy who's been terrorizing this area for what, like 40 years, I don't know, who's this well known, like nationwide known, is also they tell him he's dead and then he comes back, then they tell him he's dead, he comes back. So you're like, this is some like this is more intense of an urban legend than like the Loch Ness monster, because at least like Nessie doesn't notably kill people, So that's the equivalent for Jason, except that Jason is real, and he just
Mhm.
got killed like a day or two ago, and they're like, "Okay, I guess the coast is clear. We can go to Crystal Lake and camp out
Everything's
with no
fine.
worries of being slaughtered, and we're to do all the shit that we know we're not supposed to, that would normally piss off Jason."
Little do they know, we'll find out later that Jason
It
is a
all
deadite.
Yeah. Yeah. And this will all end in tears.
Right. So Stephen takes these unfortunate campers back to Crystal Lake, and they kind of offer for him. The one girl offers for him to hang out, and he says, "No, I got something to do." Yeah. So then we get to see, the typical. We got the campfire going there, and they're
They went
getting
skinny.
ready to. They're skinny dipping, that kind of stuff. And then the possessed Dr. Jason shows up,
Dr. Chase.
which is yeah, the possessed Dr. Jason shows up, and something else that's funny that happens is we see the loner girl. The other two has went off into the tent to have their sexy time.
Yeah,
And
she's like, I'll just sleep out here tonight, I
I'll just
guess.
sleep out here. Well, she gets up to
Beautiful.
go. She gets up to go pee, and it's like the shortest pee that I've ever seen
Yeah.
that
Just
could ever exist. Which is funny because the same thing happens when the other girl gets out of the tent and she goes to pee.
also, did you notice that both girls, they pee in the exact spot?
Yeah,
Both of them. I noticed that last night too.
and
Both of them.
it's just quick. It's so fast. Like
Yeah.
who could even pee that fast? It's I don't know.
Why didn't they pee in the lake? They just came out of the lake.
But then we do get again another one of the few redeeming scenes where Jason takes the tent pole while the couple is having sex. And
Oh yeah,
and
just a
splits her in
quick
half.
inter. So he'd already dispatched the first girl
Yeah,
with scissors. I think it's kind of quick, but she gets sliced and diced. But yeah, but it's the tipping point for the couple though is she goes out, gets a condom, quick pees, comes back. Boyfriend says, "Whoa, I hate this brand of condom." They throw it outside or
Yeah.
something. That is the that's the stake in their coffin right there.
Yeah, Jason doesn't approve of
Unsafe
unprotected
sex, you die.
So we get to see Dr. Jason kind of perform a traditional Crystal Lake murder there. And then he goes on to, I guess, go back into town at this point where he runs into a police officer and his wife. I know the officer's name is Josh.
Josh.
That's about all I know.
He just does not look like a Josh. Oh,
Yeah.
just one thing real quick. Did you watch rated or unrated? I know it's a pretty big difference in the camper kill scene.
Oh yeah, the tent kill scene. Yeah, there is a difference.
Yeah.
I've seen the unrated before, and actually I watched the rated version for the first time, which pretty much just skims over the whole her being sliced in half.
Ripped in half.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's great.
It does skip over that, but I knew what happened there, so that's why I label it kind of another redeeming section that
Yeah. Watch the unrated version at least.
Yeah, watch the unrated version. For some reason, Jason runs into this Josh police
After
officer.
watching his sister for like an hour outside by herself, going in and feeding a dog, Josh comes up, Diana goes away, his girlfriend, wife comes up, they're just about to hop in the car. Jason comes out, hits chick, breaks her neck with her own car door.
With her own car door, yeah.
She's not even looking. She doesn't even know what happened. Probably the most humane death in the entire movie.
Probably.
And then this next scene.
Yeah, so this is where Jason takes Josh, and I guess he takes him back to
Not joshing around.
the Voorhees house.
Mansion.
That's that apparently existed that we also didn't know about.
And it's got the table that he's on too. It's already got like the leather straps, I guess, but it's also got like the gynecologist like leg raising equipment on there. I see it later too. I don't know. There's a whole backstory there, I'm sure, but I'm sure that's probably where Jason was born.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
His mom
Nothing
just
is explained
set up shop right there and birthed
at
Jason.
all.
Probably Diana too.
Yeah. So we're getting to the point where Jason is going to switch bodies. Dr. Jason
breaking down
going to be policeman Jason.
Policeman.
And so he's gonna, like you said, mentioned earlier, kind of like something out of the Thing where it comes out of his mouth and then into the other mouth. Before that happens, why the hell? is the guy naked? And why does Jason shave his mustache and his
He doesn't
beard?
do anything like that to any of the other bodies he swaps with. He just
No.
down and dirty gets that slug monster inside of them. Yeah, and shaves him because Dr. Jason had a mustache too.
Yeah, Dr. Jason had a mustache. So why
It bothered him that much.
I cannot wrap my head around why this was even an idea or why this happened. Like
Shaves
I
him
have
up real good.
no clue. I mean, does Jason really have the wherewithal to be like the mustache kind of gets in the way? And the only thing I could even think of is if Jason needed he thought he needed a good mouth to mouth seal to get this creature thing from from Dr. Jason to future cop Jason.
I'm sure it was in the original script. Yeah, I guess
maybe
the doctor didn't have to have a good entryway. All he did was chow down on the heart. And all the other people he ends up possessing later in the movie, they don't have mustaches either. So
maybe he just has something against mustaches. I mean, facial hair.
Like, it might have been I've been trapped in this guy with a mustache all this time, and I just hate having a mustache, and I never want to do that again.
Yeah,
so this guy's getting shaved.
Yeah,
who knows? But they dedicated the time to film the scene. I guess it means something.
I guess we'll never know. It's strange. So then we see that Diana's daughter Jessica is planning to make a surprise visit to her mother with her baby, which is Steven's baby.
Yeah,
he's the father. Jessica's
the mommy,
the mother here.
And she's got a new boyfriend.
Yes, she's got a new boyfriend who is like a news reporter.
It's the guy from earlier who's trying to pay Creighton Duke.
Creighton Duke. Yeah. For some reason that slipped my mind.
He's kind of got one of those faces that, like, whatever. It looks like anybody.
Yeah. So
Stephen.
She makes the phone call home and talks to Diana, her mother, and says, I'm coming by. She kind of asks about Steven, and the conversation doesn't matter. The only thing you need to know is that she's coming by. So
yeah.
And then we see
she goes to ask her, or the mother, Diana, goes to ask her one last thing, but gets cut off by Josh Jason. Josh Jason.
Cop Josh Jason. Something like that. So Diana and Cop Josh Jason has a fight in the living room there, in which
she puts up a pretty good fight.
Yeah.
She blows his effing head off at one point.
Yeah, she shoots him right in the head pretty much, which obviously didn't kill him. But
okay, can I go back to one little thing? It's the beginning, and it's one of my favorite things, and I forgot about it. Okay, right after they blow up Jason, the very beginning, Creighton Duke, he's hiding in a bush and goes, I wish every time they did this throughout the movie, it's like she blew off Jason's head, like he's just outside with binoculars, like,
he's just hanging out the window. He's just like, nope.
That's not going to cut it.
But, yeah.
I wish somebody could pay me so I could tell you how to do it right.
Mm-hmm. And then we see Steven show up meeting her for whatever talk they were supposed to have. He kind of walks in on the fight and
she's about to get tongued.
The thing or whatever you want to call it. Whatever the creature possessed. We'll just call it possessed.
And he jumps across the room and football tackles this guy. Jason goes for a butcher knife, throws it, and it hits Diana right in the back, and she dies.
Yeah. She dies there.
Ooh, and Josh Jason then gets distracted by himself in a mirror and sees himself as Jason.
Yeah.
I don't know what that moment was for.
Well,
I don't know
he
if maybe
know?
Some of Josh is still in there. He's like, "Oh my God, what have I become?"
Maybe, or maybe he realized he missed a spot on the beard shaving, and
it's like a little bit of
wanted to go fix that up real quick.
But yeah, then Steven impales him with a fire poker, throws him out the window. Cop shows up. Ed, the Diana's boyfriend.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, you killed her, and he's like, I didn't do it. Like, look at the broken window. Obviously, there was maybe someone else here. It was
yeah.
Josh, your deputy,
Yeah, so Ed blames Steven and thinks that he killed
Diana.
Diana. So then we get to see Steven arrested, and he's taken to jail, bloody clothes, that kind of
Letterman
stuff.
jacket.
Letterman jacket. He sees Jessica and the baby. They're there,
Oh, just for a minute. But
just for
oh
a
yeah, and
minute.
also notable. He's like, I guess it's his best friend or somebody he's really good friends with. Is
A police officer.
Officer Randy? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
not Bobby from Twin Peaks.
No, he's trying to assure him that he'll get him out and this kind of stuff that he knows he didn't do it. So,
Oh, great! You believe me. Can you make everyone else believe that?
right, yeah, yeah. So he gets put in a cell beside our good friend Creighton Duke. I guess Ed had put him in there after the diner incident, and then somehow Creighton Duke knows who Steven is, so he knows everything.
It's like Creighton Duke's the Joker, and this is all part of his plan to get arrested and thrown in there, and eventually
Yeah.
somebody who has something connection to the Voorhees gets thrown in right next to him. It's so clever.
and he tells Steven, he says, I know you didn't do it, but the problem is you have to convince everybody else.
Everyone.
So then Steven asks, how can I do this? He's like, well, I can give you the information, but it's going to cost you, which again leads to a ridiculous Creighton Duke segment in this movie.
I guess this was like Creighton Duke testing Steven to make sure that he's like determined enough to see all this through, kind of thing. Like, if you let me break your fingers for information. Anyway, yeah, he breaks his fingers. That's the cost.
Yeah, he keeps offering up this information. And he's like, well, it's going to cost you. And then he'll give him a bit of information, and then he broke a finger, and he does this twice.
About to do it 3 times.
Yeah, about to do it 3 times. The very last one, I guess, Creighton shows some mercy. It's like, well, this one's on the house.
We're having a special today. 2 for 1 finger special. I broke 2 of your fingers to get 1 thing for free. Come back anytime. Yeah.
Creighton Duke.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he would have been able to like fight better if all of his fingers were unbroken, but whatever. He got the pinky and the ring one.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say Creighton Duke is a useless piece of shit in this movie. The entire way through. I don't think he does. I mean, maybe at the end, but,
A little bit, yeah.
Pointless.
Yeah, Stephen Williams apparently agreed to do this role because they said he could wear a cowboy hat.
Yeah, he demanded to wear a cowboy hat to do the role. He said he would only do it if he got to dress as a cowboy, which again, why?
Oh, man. I mean, he was in the Blues Brothers, whatever.
Whatever,
He can make demands like that.
I guess. So then we get to see Steven. He breaks out of jail, basically by convincing his friend to let him out because his fingers are broken. And
this bastard's breaking my fingers. What? Oh,
Yeah.
And I've got your gun. I'm getting out of here.
we see the useless diner again after that because Jessica has given her friend the baby to take care of. She takes her to the diner.
Yeah.
And they
I have a friend that doesn't have to work today.
So they store the baby in the back of the diner in a box, and somehow everybody knows where this baby is because Steven goes directly there.
Yeah, I don't know how he knew that.
I'm not sure.
Of course, I don't know these characters' backstories or diddly squat about them, so who knows? Maybe that was just a thing he would think of first.
Maybe. Who knows? Nobody knows where this thing is going. So Steven goes there. He's looking for the baby.
Yeah, he like touches it, I guess, because he tells. I don't know. He gets the diner owner's son walks back there, catches him, and he's like, "This is the first time I've ever touched my baby." Guy's like, "Hey, here's my car keys. You take my car.
Go do what you need to do," kind of thing. So, speaking of the diner, nice guy. Speaking of the diner employees and the son, there's so many characters that could be cut out of this that do not matter.
Trim the fat. Yeah,
they are a big part of the who cares. category of this movie. He does get the car from, we assume, the son of.
Because Creighton tells him, go to the Voorhees mansion and look for clues.
Yeah, so
okay. It's a fetch quest.
Go there, look for clues, see what happens.
Oh boy, does he find clues.
He does find clues because he walks in. I kind of want to take a couple minutes here because when we start seeing the Necronomicon,
we have entered new territory.
Yeah, we've completely done something different at this point, and what little bit of glue that held this plot together just got thrown out the window. So this is where we discover, anybody that's a fan of horror franchises in general will notice that the Necronomicon is there.
Exact same one from Evil Dead 2.
Yep, the exact same one. So that leads everyone to know that Jason is a Deadite, which means he's also a part of the Evil Dead universe. I can't tell if the dagger that's found is supposed to be the same one from the Evil Dead.
It's got like bone
stuff
on it, but it does look a lot different too.
So it does look different, so I'm not sure.
A lot bigger.
See, ultimately, it's almost the same thing, though, because the dagger is meant to kill Deadites. And
Kandarian dagger.
So they have to use that on Jason to kill him. So it makes you think that it's the same dagger, but you don't know. Nobody knows.
Nobody says anything about it. And right before it turns into that, it's just a regular little tiny dagger.
Yeah, it's just a regular dagger that is just there. Yeah.
He finds the Necronomicon, and then he looks in the closet. Or he hides in the closet because he hears someone coming, and it's Robert.
It's Robert. It's Jessica's boyfriend.
Yeah, the new beau, the TV show host guy.
Yeah, the TV show host. He shows up.
It's a phone call, an early 90s cell phone call from, I guess, his producer, and he tells him that he has stolen Diana's body, his girlfriend's mother, and hidden him in the closet, conveniently the closet that Steven is also hiding in. Also, Steven has kind of fallen through the floorboard, so he's just kind of dangling there in the closet. Right as Robert ends his call, Cop Josh Jason comes storming in there
and attacks Robert.
And puts his essence into Robert, turning Robert into Jason. And there's a really good scene here with a special effects scene with
the body melt scene. That's
some body horror.
Yeah,
it's like as soon as it left Josh returned into his conscious, only to painfully, horribly melt.
This is a great scene. Kind of made me think of something either out of like The Stuff or The Blob or something like that happens.
Yeah, it was very Blob. He's like sticking to the floor and the walls. And during this,
fantastic.
Steven somehow knocks over Dinah's body. Diana falls into the basement. That'll come up later.
Yeah.
And I guess Robert gets up, walks out. Steven also leaves. Cut to Diana's house where Jessica is by herself taking a shower and crying. It's very sad.
Yes, very sad. Everything is world is falling
almost down. A mirror of the first scene where the girl's showering and cut the lights and girl goes to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
She gets attacked by Robert Jason Campbell Voorhees. Steven shows up at the nick of time, fights off Robert. They hop in the car, and they run over Robert. Jessica's listened to his story about how Jason's come back to life, blah, blah, blah. I didn't murder your mother. She tricks him, beats his ass, leaves him on the side of the road, and drives away.
Definitely the heroine at that point.
Yeah, she won't take shit. Yeah, so she's a strong woman.
They're going to be at the police station.
Which a little bit of the police station scene coming up, it also had a bit of a Terminator 1 feel to it.
Yeah, when Robert Jason shows up.
Yeah. She's at the police station talking to Ed. They end up sending out Randy. And for some reason, Steven is laying in the exact spot Jessica had just left him. When Randy pulls up, he's just face down on the dirt, and he gets up. Randy punches him. They fight for a little bit. Then he finds out that Jessica's at the police station, so he's like, all right, cuff me, bring me in.
Yeah, yeah.
Brings him to the police station, and then cue Robert. Just busting ass
Robert Jason,
all the way in.
Yeah, he comes in, and he's, again, shot
several
times by...
I have to say also, Steven does this really cool thing at one point. As soon as Randy pulls him in there, he sees Robert on top of Jessica. He jumps, because his hands are cuffed behind him. He jumps over his hands
in
the front, knocks out Randy while also grabbing his gun, and then just blows the shit out of Robert. And they book it out of there, and he ends up killing 2 more cops. But
yeah, he ends up.
Then it takes us back to Also, Creighton Duke gets out in this scene. I can't remember how, but he gets out. That's important for later.
He does get out.
A cop runs away from Robert Jason and then runs right into Creighton's fist. That's what.
Yeah. And he steals the keys and gets out. Yeah, he just runs right into.
And somehow Creighton gets to the diner before anybody, though.
Of course, yeah.
I don't know how he knew there was a baby at the diner, but whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning earlier. I'm not sure how anybody knew that this baby was at this diner.
There's some like shining going on here or something.
Yeah.
Then we get to the diner scene, which I think is a pretty interesting scene altogether. Full on. I feel like a lot of, I don't know, because it's a busy day at the diner for one. A lot of people, a decent amount of people are there when this shit goes down. Yeah, they run in there, and they're trying to get the baby. It's in all rights. It's the baby's 2 parents. One is convicted of or is suspected of murder. The other one isn't, though. But Joey B, being Joey B, pulls out a gun and threatens them and says, "You will not take that baby with you." Jessica beats her ass.
Yep.
And Joey sends her one and only son.
The son with
outside.
the gun.
Throws him a gun. Steven begs him, don't go. Because he's going to go to the police station, which has been massacred.
Right.
He walks outside and meets Stephen Robert Campbell, where gets like,
easily disposed of.
I think both of his arms snapped.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Both of the arms snapped. And then Robert Jason makes his way into the diner, wrecks everything. When he kills Joey B, when he punches her in the face. I guess her jaw shatters her entire face. Like the lower half of her face is just completely sunk in and gone.
He deep fries little Leslie Jordan's face and then throws him on the grill. Oh, and then this part with the their friend Vicky. Yeah, it was
Vicky. Yeah,
she was the one watching after the baby. She stops Jason from attacking Jessica by. Did she shoot him? Yeah, I think she shoots him or something. Flips out. So then she grabs some rebar that is just laying on the wall and impales him. But then he impales her with him.
Yeah, by pulling her into him.
And here's another rated/unrated difference. In the rated version, she just dies. She gets impaled. But in the unrated, she says something badass to him, like "go to hell," and then he pops the top of her head off like a zip.
Yeah,
and then she dies, and he also goes down.
Robert Jason gets a pretty good beating throughout his existence.
Yeah, more so than the other two.
And then we see where Steven and Jessica and the baby at this point.
Oh wait. Creighton Duke had snuck into the diner and stolen the baby, left a note. Jessica, unbeknownst to Steven, grabbed the note, and it read, Steven finds the note later and reads it, but it's narrated by Creighton Duke himself.
Mm-hmm.
I got the baby at the Voorhees house. Come alone.
Come alone.
Yeah. So she shady dips on Steven and jets over the Voorhees house. Luckily, she dropped the note. Steven sees it. He just follows after anyways.
Follows suit, yeah.
But then we get another thing-like scene where it's first-person perspective walking into the diner. All you can tell is that it's probably a cop, obviously, for first responder. They get in there and are attacked by Robert. And then the whole thing is, ooh, which of the two cops left could this have been?
Yeah, which cop is now the
Yeah.
cop Jason 2?
Yeah, you're literally down to 2 cops, so it's not that hard of a coin toss. So yeah, then we go to the Voorhees house. Jessica shows up. Creighton Duke's acting creepy again. Hold the baby, has a knife. She's like, dude, Robert's dead. You're not getting paid for any of this, so just stop. He's like, it's
Right.
not about the money. And he like gives her the baby and he throws his little dagger at her. As soon as she grabs it in midair, it turns into maybe the Kandarian dagger from
Possibly.
and he's like, it's
Again,
pretty simple. You gotta stab him with that, and then it's all over.
which again leads us to believe that it is this dagger. But then again, you do not know.
And he couldn't have told that information without breaking a couple fingers and sexually harassing people.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot, Creighton Duke. My hero.
of course.
Good job, dude. You're the best bounty hunter ever.
So
So by him telling them what they need to do, and he basically say his usefulness has dried up. So Steven shows up and they're like, okay, we're ready to fight Jason. And then Ed, the sheriff, Jessica's mother, Diana's boyfriend,
yeah, he
he
shows,
shows
up.
up and he's like flipping out and he's like, Jessica, give me the knife. And she's like, no. And then Officer Randy, Steven's best bud, he shows up. He's like, drop it, Ed. Ed won't drop it and keeps getting close to Jessica. And then he basically walks right into this dagger and kills himself.
Yeah, I mean, just like
And Jessica
just walks into it.
And Jessica doesn't give a shit.
No, doesn't care.
She
Doesn't care.
After she stabs him and she accidentally drops the dagger and it goes underneath this dresser, she's more worried about the dagger than the fact that she just killed this man. Because right after that, she discovers that Randy is actually Jason. Also,
Yes.
Creighton Duke fell into the basement, too. I forgot to mention that. It doesn't matter.
No.
He hurt his leg on the way down there, too.
Yeah, he hurt his leg. He fell through.
Completely useless.
Yeah.
So she's up there. And also to point out that by Randy saying, drop it, Ed, that was technically Jason Voorhees speaking. Because he was Jason at that time.
Was. Technically, this was a part where Jason is speaking. Again, another first for this.
He didn't do that with any of the other people he possessed, but
no.
Randy was something special, I guess.
He may have shaved somebody, and
Randy was a clean-shaven man.
He was clean-shaven. Maybe that's why he chose him.
Yeah.
He didn't want to have to shave all these people.
Yeah, imagine, I don't know, Ed was like 90 years old. That wouldn't have been the best body to possess. Anyways, Steven comes running in there. I think he's screaming too already.
Yeah.
Oh, he comes running with the machete.
With the machete, right.
I want to say he also had a flaming torch, but I don't think he did. It was just a machete. And cuts Randy, his best friend in the world's neck open. Randy falls down. Pretty also decent effects here of this snake demon monster thing crawls out of his neck hole.
The Jason thing. Now, is this Jason?
The real Jason.
True form? Is that what this is supposed to show? Again,
that's pathetic if it is.
Is it supposed to be his true form? Is that what he looks like? Who knows? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what they're doing. They were just pulling things out of thin air at this point.
It up. It's not the hardiest of lore. Well, this little monster somehow falls into the basement. They're like, Creighton, get up here real quick. And he's like, oh, I'm getting the hell out of this basement.
Yeah.
And he's like in no danger at the moment anyways, because this thing has already seen that Diana's dead corpse is down there. And then Steven says, hey, when you said that Jason was to be reborn by a Voorhees,
does it have to be alive before he's born?
Creighton's like, hell no, I didn't say that. And then all of a sudden, Jason bursts out. The thing, oh god, it's very Evil Dead 1-esque.
It's very Evil Dead-ish at this point.
Crawls right up her dress, and then I guess it bursts out of her entire body, and then it's full-grown Jason from the beginning of the movie, hockey mask and all.
Hockey mask, everything.
Jumpsuit. I feel like he had even came with a machete, but I don't think he did. But yeah, the whole set, basically.
Yeah, he just shows up again.
He's ready to
Jason is
rumble.
now reborn,
Get
and
that
actually
nasty
in the
hair.
movie at this point.
Yeah.
So then we get to see a battle between Jessica, Steven, and Jason.
And the baby's
Ensue.
just like in the corner.
And the baby's just hanging out somewhere, which I'm not sure what Jason's motive was.
Maybe Jessica
After
was
this
going to
point.
raise him. Maybe that's what he wanted.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah. At this point, I guess he's gotten what he wants. Now
He's
he's
got what
just
he wants, yeah.
back to basics, murdering,
Yeah.
which
Just,
hadn't stopped him already because he's been murdering the entire movie. Now he just
yeah.
gets to do it in his own nasty
his
ass
own
body.
skin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to what he knows.
I don't understand. He's reborn, but it reanimated him into his later body instead of. It made sense if he like came back and he was like Jason from part 2 or something.
Yeah, like a truly reborn, but
Or literally a baby, which
Yeah.
also they probably would just killed it if that was the case. But
yeah.
yeah, so he's trying to rumble. They still got this Kandarian dagger under the dresser for some reason.
I was thinking about the reborn part, and maybe it's the last known good configuration that Jason comes back to.
It would have been fun if they'd changed the design just for the end.
Mhm.
Like in Jason X, the next one
Oh yeah,
gets destroyed and then comes back as Uber Shredder.
Jason.
Yeah, Uber Jason.
Yeah.
Trying to stop them from getting the dagger, and Creighton Duke's like, "Hold on a minute, I'm still in this movie."
Yeah,
And
my useless ass is still here.
He's got 2 pairs of handcuffs himself to like I don't know, some like a table, and then
Yeah,
then the other arm to Jason, and Jason pulls on him so hard that his entire hand slides out of one of them,
yeah,
and he just bear hugs him to death, and it's the shittiest death in the whole movie.
yeah.
Not
But
by
it's
like pain, it's just like not interesting.
no, just like
Like he
crazy.
should have been like pulling his guts out or something. Like he earned it.
Yeah, well, it's suitable for Creighton Duke because again, it's useless and not noteworthy.
And he says,
Yeah, he's
"Me."
it's like, do you remember me? It's like, of course not. Nobody knows who you are.
Nobody
The whole thing.
knows.
He's then brought up several times that people should know who he is, and no one knows who this idiot is.
Like even like a 2-second scene in the jailhouse with like Steve and him just like
Giving some kind of backstory.
15 years ago, Jason killed the love of my life.
Well, and
I've been on his ass ever since.
in the comic, I think that's what it alludes to is that apparently Jason murdered his girlfriend.
Yeah, he totally did something wrong by Duke, but
But then again, we don't know. We
Not
don't know.
not your basic Joe Blow audience member is gonna know to read the comic book. So put
Yeah.
it in the movie.
Yeah, even just a
It's
little bit
important
of.
character development. Or
And again, you know, if
knowledge.
it's something that was originally in the very extended cut that they just kind of cut out or something. We don't know what was in the original 120 minutes. We just know it's in the 90-minute version.
I'd sit down and watch that.
Yeah, it'd be at
They
least.
put it out.
I wonder if there's a script, even at least, that you can look at to see.
Oh yeah, I bet there is somewhere.
Maybe explain some of this that's going on. But yeah, so Jason kills Creighton, which is one of the other highlights of the movie because I was glad to see him go.
You're okay. His use came in there because his being killed distracted Jason long enough for them to get. Well, no, actually, no. They didn't get the Kandarian dagger right after the Creighton Duke was killed because even Steven has to fight Jason now.
Yeah,
and she
he
still
fights
needs
Jason
for the dagger. So yeah, Creighton Duke bought him like 0.2 seconds.
Yeah,
Steven
again,
buys a lot of time because he doesn't just immediately die. He gets his ass kicked.
die.
Though.
So Jason and Steven are fighting outside now.
I thought he was gonna at one point because he picks up the shovel and he's laying down. And it made me think of like Evil Dead. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, he's gonna cut Jason's head off. No, he just like Home Alones him in the face like 5 times.
Just
And
hits
then-
him in the mask that is
Yeah,
not going.
Doing.
Yeah.
And then Jason grabs the shovel from him and he gives him like a couple pops on the head
Mhm.
too. And then throws him to like a jungle gym.
Yeah, to the weird
whole thing
jungle
over.
gym where he's not.
That's actually
over.
Oh, that jungle gym apparently is actually a prop left over from the birds.
Yeah, yeah,
Random
yeah.
fact.
I read that. Yeah, it was left over from the
I'm
birds. What's
so
that? It was
glad.
in the birds. Yeah,
I'm so glad they brought out retirement for this gym.
just to have Steven throw
Alfred
into.
Hitchcock would be happy.
Yeah, maybe.
Steven's just like getting pummeled by Jason's like, I want to say, yeah. Jason's just like just toying with him
Yeah,
because
that's
he
what I
could
was saying
end this
earlier.
guy quick.
I feel like Jason has achieved his goal, so he's just kind of just
Living
maybe,
the sweet life.
yeah, basking in the moment and taking his time killing.
Knowing me all this time, I'm just gonna beat your ass a little bit,
Yeah.
and then I'll probably like do a final
Hmm.
chest punch and rip your heart out or something.
Yeah. And then we see Jessica out of the house, and she has her dagger now.
Stabs this boy or this Jason man, real Jason,
Real Jason.
right
Yeah.
in the chest.
Right in the chest. Stabs him, jumps over his back, right? Stabs him right
Yeah,
in the chest.
jumps on his back, stabs him, gets thrown off. Bunch of Tinkerbells come out of nowhere. The
Yeah.
ground shakes. Anyways, he starts getting sucked down on the ground, but a little. No, he hasn't gotten sucked down yet.
Not
She
yet,
realizes that the dagger's not in all
not
the way,
deep
so
enough.
she Sonya blades this dagger
Right, yeah,
and
she
like
just
kicks it right into his
kicks it right
chest.
into his chest.
That's the sweet spot, and
Oh yeah.
Cole starts taking him back, and
Mhm.
it tries to take Steven too.
Yeah, one of
Did
the
you feel
weird.
like a little bit of hesitation on her part though when he's?
Yeah, to try and help him. She's just like
She looked a
watching
little
him.
nonplussed at first, and then she's like, "Okay, I'll fucking do it."
Yeah, she's just kind of watching him, just like, I wonder if
We're
I
not getting back together,
we're
anyways.
not
Like,
getting back together.
yeah, he seems like he's redeemed himself, but you know, I mean, we just got. I just was dating a talk show host. Like my,
Yeah, I'm not gonna stoop back to this. We've
but
already
this
tried this
guy's
once.
still living in his high school town. Obviously, basking on his high school days by the fact that he's still like 35, still wearing his Letterman jacket.
Yeah, Jason gets pulled down by what I would describe as
The Gnome King from Return to Oz.
yeah, or like foam deadites from
Yeah.
Dead. Some weird, who knows,
Yeah.
that the hands of hell that pulls Jason down into the ground. We see him disappear into the dirt. I guess that is the point of the movie, is he finally has truly gone to hell. Maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of like the end of Jason Takes Manhattan, where you don't see Manhattan until the very end of the movie. Except
Right.
this movie didn't even have the common courtesy to show him in hell,
Yeah, no.
going to hell, which that's what it's called. Jason Goes to Hell. So he went to hell eventually.
Eventually, yeah. So, and
Not
again,
like Ernest goes to camp. He's actually in camp
he's
the
actually
entire
in
movie.
camp, yeah. So to wrap up the movie is Jason gets pulled down. Steven and Jessica immediately, for some reason, start kissing, which I never
Yeah.
understood that in horror movies. Like, why?
I'd have to sit in silence for a little bit after
Yeah,
that.
don't
Like,
you want
oh
to
my
reflect
God.
a little bit? Like,
This was the worst week I've ever had.
yeah. I don't think anyone's first go-to move is, hey, let's just make out.
Yeah.
Let's just do this.
Glad that's over.
Glad that's over. Then we get to see a dog come along. I guess this is years later, months later, days later. Again, who knows? The plot
Hours
doesn't
later.
care. Yeah, the plot doesn't give a shit. So.
It was yesterday. It just happened.
Yeah. A dog sniffing around comes across Jason's mask laying in the dirt. And then we get to see Freddy's hand rise out of the dirt and grab Jason's mask and pull it down, all while hearing
Not Robert Englund laughing.
not Robert Englund. So, and that's kind of where I wanted to get to with this now, is I kind of want to talk about.
That scene rocked most of the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, and I kind of want to
Oh
talk
my God, it's going to happen.
yeah, a little bit about this strange like crossover
Ending.
that was supposed to happen. Again, this movie is going to tell us that Freddy, Jason, and Ash are all a part of the same universe. When I attended the panel, when I met Robert Englund, he even mentioned that the idea behind all of this was supposed to be Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, which is another comic series kind of in and of itself. That was what was supposed to happen. Not really sure why we ended up just getting Freddy versus Jason out of this. It's
do
still
know.
interesting though that as crappy as this movie was, it kind of was a necessary evil to lead up to something that could have been really cool.
Yeah, and you gotta do stuff like that here and there.
Mm-hmm. When you look at Freddy versus Jason, it's not fantastic. It's not great. If you could imagine adding, Bruce
Ash into that.
Campbell into that movie, like that would have been something pretty incredible. It would have been, I mean,
Been something special,
just
honestly.
Bruce Campbell and Robert Englund together,
So much fun.
the dialogue would have been priceless.
Maybe keep Kane Hodder as Jason.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course, he's kind of the quintessential Jason at this
Yeah.
point. So I
Hey,
think it had some interesting ideas, and I realized it was kind of the road to another means. Let's just kind of talk about now that we've went through the movie, like kind of what we think about it.
I have to give it props. Sometimes subverting the expectations is not always the best idea. I mean, a lot of times it is. You should want to make a sequel to something and make it like its own thing. This one definitely strayed pretty far from the originals, but a lot of those movies are pretty cut and dry what they are. I mean, kids go to camp, they get murdered by Jason, somehow they defeat him.
And real
And
quick, that's something I don't understand with this movie is you
Yeah, you
have the
barely get.
formula in place for Jason movies. It's already there. It's simple. Everybody loves it. Why did it
It's
have to
not that
be
hard. It's
yeah,
not that
why
hard to
you
make a
can still
Jason movie.
pull off the end goal, but still produce a Jason, like a
Yes,
Friday the 13th movie.
some things and I definitely like it when movies try to do things different, and they do, but it's also like the execution of that.
Hmm.
Whereas this one, it seemed like a 5-year-old was given a writing topic in English class, and it was like start off with this one sentence and then go on from there. They had all these ideas, so many ideas, but they couldn't gestate it in a cohesive way. So I was
Hmm.
like, oh, this is cute. There's a lot of, there's some interesting ideas here, but can you have a point A to point B that
Yeah, can you
like
make
makes
it
a little more
mesh?
sense? And
Yeah.
yeah, there were ideas. It's just like it wasn't thought out carefully enough.
It almost seems like it was a decent idea, and it may have been one of those things that looked good on paper, but just wasn't
Yeah,
executed. Like I said, and again, we don't know what that full script was supposed to be, so
yeah,
we have no idea what maybe was truly supposed to be the plot of this, besides this weird like dartboard plot idea that we have, where they're just kind of throwing random things at you, and you don't know why or it makes sense. So are you saying that you kind of enjoy the movie? Not.
yeah. That's a good rating. I kind of enjoy this movie. I don't think I'm going to be watching it again for quite some time, but
Right.
I definitely, especially if, I mean, even if you're just a fan of the series, I mean, you got to watch them all.
Well, for me, again, this movie it's bad. It's
It's pretty
not
bad.
well thought out.
It would have been better if it was just about him in hell, like some
Yeah.
Dante's Inferno kind of thing.
And I obviously have some beef with the characters, Creighton
Creighton
Duke.
Duke,
I
especially.
despise that character. It will be a long time before I watch this movie again. Overall, I like what they were trying to do, and it
Yeah,
does have
props for that.
some
Merit.
redeeming qualities to it, which doesn't make it pure trash. This movie is not that great. It is not good, but I somewhat like it. Now, would you
Yeah,
say this is maybe the weakest movie in the entire franchise?
yeah, easily,
Yeah,
easily.
I agree. Some people
Uh,
will say Jason X or Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason Takes Manhattan is too cheesy.
it's
Not like it.
yeah. I definitely don't especially love Takes Manhattan compared to other ones, but I don't know. I do love that last bit where it's just him in Manhattan. It's like, ooh, this is actually what I've been waiting for this whole fucking movie. I'm gonna enjoy it now. And
Yeah, you're rewarded for making it through. But before we close out, is there anything else? Any last thoughts on Jason Goes to Hell besides?
definitely looked a lot more like Lord Humongous from Road Warrior in this one with the strainy hair in the back of his head,
Yeah, yeah.
the
Also the
giant
first.
walking testicle.
Yeah,
But besides that,
strange.
it would have been better if this actually took place in hell.
And it would be better if it had somewhat of a plot to it. So better
Yeah.
than, I mean, it does have a plot. I just mean a better
It's a really
execution.
scatterbrained plot.
Yeah, very scatterbrained plot to it. So, yeah, I think this will do it for Jason Goes to Hell. Again, if anybody's made it this far, definitely do check us out on our Facebook page. Give that a like. Subscribe to us on. We're now available on every platform that you can find a podcast.
We're everywhere.
Everywhere, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Spotify. Even started a YouTube channel for anyone who just for some reason doesn't have any iPod listening software. So,
But lots of free time.
but free time, yeah. So definitely check it out. Thank you all for listening. So,
I'm Luke.
and this is Ricky.
Have a good week.